everybody, Chaz Large here with yet another Fix It video for you. On the bench we've got a grand old master here. This is a Pi Audio, a MIDI system of the 80s and 70s. Let's just tilt the old camera up so you can see that a little bit better. There we go. And this was brought to me by a customer who basically said that she had one of these when she was a youngster, and she loved it, and then it died or something went wrong with it anyway, so she managed to find another one on eBay. Then she managed to find some speakers to go with it. I've got them over there and we'll test those later on, but she'd like this to be working as good as possible. Now there's a couple of faults with it. The CD tray doesn't work properly, the left hand speaker is a little bit noisy, so we'll go through some checks and tests and see what we can find whilst we work our way through it. So I haven't even connected it up or tested it yet, so it's going to be a first off test. Let's just get the old speaker wires down and connect them up. So right hand speaker in there, luckily two little grip connectors which are nice, usually makes good contact. So I'm going to test it with my speakers first, because she said that there was a fault on one channel, so I just want to eliminate the potential of it being a faulty speaker by testing it with my speakers first. I know my speakers are okay, so we'll plug it in and hit power, and then we'll turn it off, and then we'll switch it on at the socket, and then we'll hit power. Okay, so we've got some lights coming on. We've got a graphic equalizer with LEDs in the middle. We've got a tuner, and we can actually hear the tuner. Let's see, where's the volume control? There it is. Okay, so there's one problem. Okay, so we've got the volume control is a bit noisy. We've got a balance control in the middle. Now let's connect up an aerial. Run the old aerial cable over here. It's a little bit short, but I just want to plug the radio in. It's got a standard coax for the FM air radio. Let's switch it to FM tuner. Where's the controls? Right, here we are, FM.
They call me Mando.
Right. Well, the right hand channel is definitely working, but it's distorted as hell. Move the balance control. There is absolutely nothing at all out of the left hand channel whatsoever. Okay, let's go to AM. That's my lights, you can hear. Yeah. Long wave. Well, we've got no aerial really. I don't think there's any aerial connected for those, unless there's there might be an internal ferrite aerial. I can't remember on this, but anyway, I think our main problem there is we're getting no. Let's just go back to. We've definitely got, I think, a fault with the output stage. We've got a bar graph here, so it's showing that it's giving an output, but I think the output stage is basically probably a single chip amplifier, so we'll need to see what that is when we get inside it. Don't think we can do much more with that. We'll look at the CD player, etc. a bit later on. So getting into one of these was always quite interesting. I remember working on some of these in the past, and you may say, all right, you're looking at a stack system. Well, you know, it's basically one big piece of plastic on the side, plastic on the top for the turntable, plastic on the back, etc, etc, etc. So let's just disconnect those speakers again, and we'll start undoing some screws. Get the old trusty dusty electric screwdriver out. Very nice little screwdriver I picked up off of eBay Task. It's It's a great little rechargeable, and you can change it to that way around, and it's got a little battery indicator in it. Comes with extra things. The only thing it hasn't got is torque. It's a bit over torqued. It's got a nice little light on it as well, but it's over torqued. So if you're going to use one of these, you go to screw something in, screw it a little bit so far, then finish it off with hand if you don't want it to go too far. Right, but unscrewing, perfect for that. Let's just get these screws out the side. Must better magnetise that tip. Now, as I seem to remember on these, the turntable bit comes off as a separate item, so we can lift it separately. Whoops. And then we can unplug the connector underneath. Yes, look at that. So how's that for serviceability? So I should be able to put my finger on that connector and wiggle it out. Put a screwdriver in there and just prise the plastic apart like so. There it is. And the turntable is not gripped down, but it has got some transit screws in there. Oh, plastic. I think you have a look on that, you can see there was a classic problem with things when people wrapped up mains cables or whatever cables and put them on top of these things. The rubber melded into the plastic, so I might be able to clean that off, but I doubt it, to be honest. So this bit apparently is working, or was working, so we'll put that to one side. Now you should be able to take, alright, then we've got some more screws. Any screws in the bottom as well? Yes, we have. I've forgotten that. Whoops. Whole front panel's coming apart, but we want to get the amplifier, so there's some more screws here as well. Or there's at least one anyway. Yeah. Right, well, pop that back on there for a second. I'm sure that these side panels came off. Yeah, that one does. I think I've missed one more screw. Oh, is it a catch? Oh yeah, it's a catch on the inside. Just get at it in there. There it is. There's a little catch at the bottom there. There's one on the other side, but it obviously wasn't clipped in all that well. And so now we should be able to see inside it. We've got the tuner area at the top here, and we've got a big heatsink at the back and two transistors, but the actual sound output stage, if my memory serves correct, is this beastie over here, an STK4352 amplifier. Now it could just be that has gone faulty. It could be that the electrolytics around it have all decided to give up the ghost. Looking at these electrolytics, let's go to the overhead camera. Nope, wrong one. Right, on the overhead camera we can see we've got a lot of capacitors, electrolytic capacitors covered in dust. None of these have got the little cross that allows them to expand. So if they've failed, they would normally fail in one of two ways. They'd either leak out the bottom, and I can't see any leakage at the moment, although no, I can't see anything, or they would actually just literally pop, and the can would pop off if they were going to go bad. So what I think we need to do is, to make it as accessible as possible, we need to take this bit separately away, which we can do as much as possible, like so. So now we should be able to get at the I'll go back to the side camera again. We can now get at the connections for the power amplifier, which is there. Not a great deal, a lot of light. Need to bring in some little bit of extra light in there so we can see what we're doing. Bear with me a second. Right, well, I've jerried a bit of a desk lamp on here so I can see a little bit better in here, and looking at the let's just turn a little bit brightness up. This looks like this output chip has probably been replaced once before. Now I can bring the other camera in so you can see, hopefully, if I can get it into the right position. That'll be that one. So yeah, you can see there that chip has definitely been resoldered at some stage. Now whether somebody's resoldered it to just solder it in case of dry joints or something like that, a bit difficult to determine. Let me just get myself seated down here, and again, a bit difficult to see. I'm going to have to put my old specs on to get in there, but yeah, even then I can't see. So you're going to have to move that out of the way a bit. Yeah, they all look quite good soldered joints. There's a big blob of solder on one pin. This blob here looks a little bit too blobby. This bit here has obviously been resoldered at some stage. Yeah, so I think the next order of the day is to get a service manual if we can for this, or at least a circuit diagram, so we can have a look and check for some voltages around this output stage. It may well be that it's just the output stage that has failed, and I've got to get one of those chips if I can. If not, then we'll see where we go from there. Right, well, unfortunately I haven't managed to get hold of a service manual for this beastie. I've done lots of searches. I found a couple of suppliers that potentially might have an old manual for this. The only thing I can really find out about the audio output stage is the chip. It's the STK 4352, and I did manage to get the data sheet for that, so we can see on there that basically this is the chip, and on the chip you can see that we've got a supply rail coming in on where are we? Let's get the right one. So we've got the supply rail coming in here onto pin 7, and we've got the output on pins 5 and 11. So we should be able to just do some rudimentary checks to make sure there's no short to ground on the two outputs, and to do a sort of like a duplication check between the two lots of pins, say pin 2 and pin 14, to see what the resistance is to ground, etc. because it's basically one chip that's got two separate chips inside it, and if one is significantly different readings to the other, that would lead us to indicate that it is probably the chip that's going to be at fault. Okay, I've got the oscilloscope connected, I've got my test tape in and it's playing back 1 kHz. We've got the speaker connections, which is this grey that goes out to the socket. So there's the left hand channel, which is there. You can see that waveform. And I'll just increase the amplitude. 10 millivolts. There we go. That's a reasonable capture. So that's the left hand channel, that's the good channel. So if we now go to the right hand channel, which is this one. Whoa, definitely we've got a distortion there. Now these are the output capacitors. So this is one side and that's the other side. C317 connected to C315 is one channel. C315, let's see that in there anywhere. What about, I suppose we could go to pin 5 of the chip. That's not easy to get at unless we're underneath the board. What about R311? Let's just put a little bit of light in there. C317, so we're R313, 307, 315, R311. Right, we can see R311. R311 is that one there. Okay. Can't see because I've got my fingers in the way. So let's see if we can get a probe onto that. So that's obviously the 311, that's obviously the left hand channel. So we say that's the left hand channel, so we want the right hand channel, which is the bad one. So we've got R312, which is going to be over here. R312, there it is. So we should be able to get the scope on there. That is on here, on this resistor here, R312, so that's pin 11 of the output stage. So if we have a look at the equivalent on the other side, we should see that it's okay, the other one. Yeah, that one's okay. So either the output stage is malfunctioning, which I now strongly suspect it is. I can't see any reason, unless that 1000 microfarad has gone leaky. So that's it. I think I'm going to condemn the chip on this, so I'm going to put it all to one side, wait until I get a new chip, put that in. I'm pretty certain that chip's had it. Okay, we have now got in the STK4352 sound output stage for this Pi, so we're going to go ahead and fit that. Now it's held in place with 2 screws through this heatsink, and the heatsink is held in place with 2 screws there. So I think the simplest way of getting this out is to remove the screws holding the heatsink. We need a bigger screwdriver. We're going to need a bigger screwdriver. Yep, there we go. So if we undo that and then turn it on its side, we should then be able to desolder all the pins and it should effectively fall out. Oh, he says he drops a screw. Thankfully, the magnetic screwdriver picks it up. So yes, it's now quite free on there. Let's pop that back panel in there for a minute. turn it onto its side, and being careful not to drop the front chassis off. So let's get the overhead camera. So could get the old desoldering gun on there, but there's only 15 pins, so I might as well just do it with desoldering braid. That I think is going to be the easiest way. Make sure the soldering iron is nice and clean. Clip off the end of the used desoldering braid, and that should just gently run along there and desolder those. There we are. So now we have the SDK out. This has obviously been replaced before by the look of it. That looks fairly new heatsink compound. Not sure. Put those screws there. Let's put them in a little tray so we don't lose them. Old stuff away. So what we're going to do is we're going to give the heatsink a bit of a clean. Right, so we're just going to give this coating a little bit of a treatment of isopropyl, and that should dissolve it all, which it does. The kitchen foil to wipe off the excess. A nice shiny clean heatsink. Clean off the old toothbrush. One of the best bits of tool that you can have is a nice old toothbrush. Never throw them away. Always come in handy for jobs like this. Heatsink compound is next. Can't remember when I got this heatsink compound, many years ago, but it doesn't go off. The beauty of this heatsink compound is it lasts forever, and the only thing that happens is occasionally it gets a little bit clogged up in the tip, so a fine screwdriver. There's my tiddly little one. Oh, that's going to be too big. Doodly doodly doodly, where is it gone? There it is. Fine watchmaker screwdriver. Just pop it down there. Get another bit of kitchen roll. And give it a push. Let me check the focus on the camera again, which has wandered. This bloody camera, I don't know why this physically wanders out of focus, but it does. The cheap Chinese camera. Right, one new chip. Tell you what, let's pull that back a bit as well. Let's go back to there. Right. I bought it because it had manual focus, this camera, but it's proving to be a bit of a nightmare. Anyway, there we are. So there's a new, well, there is a chip. Whether it's a brand new replacement or whether it's a foreign conversion of some kind, I don't know, but we will find out. I'm just going to give the if we have a look at the legs on this, if it's been soldered in, no it hasn't, so let's just ground myself before I touch it. So if it's been soldered in, it could have been a second-hand one recovered, but it's not. Just make sure all the legs are straight. Then we pop that heat sink on there and give it a good squidge around. And put the two longer screws back in there. I'm not going to tighten them up just yet because I want to fit this in and then just make sure that the legs come through at the right length, and I'll take it back out and fit it in properly. Okay, so just before I put the legs in, I'm just going to run my desoldering braid over this PCB just to make sure the holes are nice and clean. That's all looking good. Luckily I can see the holes through the gap. Get the legs nice and straight. Wire's just getting caught. Where's that wire getting caught there? Okay. So I think we've got all the screws lined up and the lock screws are in the middle, the legs are coming through. So I'm just going to take it out one more time, then just tighten up these two screws to make sure it's got a nice good heat sink connection on that. And we can put it back in. Gently tease the legs through. There we are. Now we can put the short screws into there and there. nice and tight because the metal work, the frame will act as an extra heatsink as well. And we're good. And now we've got to do is solder the beastie back in. I'm going to start over this side, work my way along. Put a little headlight on to give myself a little bit more light. A little bit too much from that one. I think we're done with all of them. Yep, looks good. I'm happy with that. Clean off the flux. Another visual inspection. That one in the middle there. Maybe just my eyes, which didn't look quite right. Yeah, so giving that one a bit of extra clean, extra solder. Yeah, pretty sure that's all okay now. Yeah, all nice and clean. I think we are done. It might be that this is the last but one fix of this device, because I've still not got in yet the turntable drive belt, but I'm hoping that's going to arrive in the post today, and that should be the final fix for this beastie. Make sure everything else is okay, nothing's pulled or disconnected. Let's get some speakers into it. Right, that's all okay. I've not disconnected anything else. Everything else is all as to should be. So let's see what happens. Oh, let's turn the socket on, always helps. Let's put it into FM. Hopefully we won't get a hit on that, but I may have to cut that bit, but it sounds perfect. Wow. Let's just put test tape in. So I think the final test of this is going to be looking at the output using a test tone like we did before and see if there's any distortion. So just putting the scope onto my test meter there. So that's the left-hand channel. The right hand channel, that looks just as good. So I'll tell you what, let's put the test tape in this tape deck. So we'll put it on the 1 kHz tone and we'll just rewind that a bit. That should be good enough. And that is the right hand channel. I don't know if you can see that. Yes, you should be able to see that on the scope. It's a nice smooth sine wave compared to the left hand channel, exactly the same, and it says frequency 1 kHz, so you can't see that. I could put this scope on the screen, but I'm not going to bother with that. You can see it from there, but that's the beauty. That's the one that was a faulty channel. So that was our faulty component, the STK4352, and all credit to the supplier, who was a company called Little Diode, and they do lots of components and they're available on eBay. So thank you very much Little Diode for supplying that. You'll find lots of other components. I bought a lot of other components from them, so they're a very, very good supplier of components. Let's just take that tape out, pop it in this one. Yeah, still looks a nice stable signal. Yep, I'm happy with that. Very slight difference in speed, but I don't think it's going to make a lot of difference, to be honest. The customer, it's the music they want to listen to. They don't want to listen to test tones. And if anyone can spot the difference between that and playing it back on another, they've got to have really good hearing. But anyway, the old BC is very nearly done. Hopefully the dry belt should arrive in the post today, and if it does, I'll fit that on the turntable and that'll be done. So, oh, the tape stopped. Oh no, it hasn't, it's just a track. Phew, I thought something had gone wrong there. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this excursion into a bit of an old retro hi-fi. Serviced the decks, CD player we've known is working, but we've given that a bit of a clean up as well. Cleaned up the controls and the switches, cleaned up the controls on the equalizer as well, replaced the faulty output chip. We're done. I've just got to change that turntable belt, as I said. So thanks very much for watching, hope you've enjoyed it. See you on the next video. Cheerio.